This video was brought to you by PureVPN. Keep your privacy intact with one of the best VPN services out there. What's up guys, Yo Gabba Gabba here, and welcome to another video for Game of Thrones Season 8. This time we're going to be taking a look at things you might have missed in Episode 2, A Night in the Seven Kingdoms. Now to be honest, there weren't that many callbacks or Easter eggs, but there will be enough to warrant a video, and fair warning, I will be skipping over some of the obvious ones, such as Bran telling Jaime,
"The things we do for love."
but I will go over some that I thought were noteworthy enough to mention and break down just a tad. As always, before we begin, be sure to hit that subscribe and bell button to stay notified. But let's get to it. Now the first thing to note here is that the opening credits have changed again to match the fortifications of Winterfell. I bring this up because there were many of us who missed this because I kind of always skip the friggin' intro, and as much as I love the opening theme, don't get me wrong, I've seen it so many times in the past 7 seasons that I can close my eyes and know exactly where they'll be going on the map for every episode. So this is definitely one that I did miss, well, until I went back and saw it a second time. The titles have also continued to turn over blue, extending past the last hearth, telling us that the army of the dead has made progress since last episode, which is true. I assume for the next episode, the tiles will be right outside Winterfell. Now, the episode opens with Jaime's trial and Bran's one-liner aside. Jaime repeats what Brienne said to him in the Season 7 finale.
Oh, fuck loyalty.
Fuck loyalty.
This goes beyond houses and honor and oaths.
Later on in the episode, Jaime knights her, and as far as we can tell, Brienne is likely the first female knight in Westeros. Though George Martin is likely to change this in future books. He is a feminist after all, and writing strong female characters is his forte. He's been praised for it in the past. So I'm sure George will write a story about a long-forgotten female knight in future installments, but for now, Brienne is the first knight that is female, as far as we know, or at least in the show. The title of this episode is called A Night in the Seven Kingdoms. This is a reference to some of the short stories that George has written before following Sir Duncan the Tall, former Kingsguard to Aegon Targaryen, fifth of his name. There have been some rumors floating around the internet that even George has fanned the flames of, that Lady Brienne is somehow related to Sir Duncan, who was, of course, very tall, but we'll just have to see. And later on, when Jaime is outside with Tyrion, they reflect on how Tyrion has always said he wants to die, which is the exact same thing he said to Shagga back when he was leaving the Vale with Bronn.
In my own bed, at the age of 80, with a belly full of wine and a girl's mouth around my cock.
And before we move on from Jaime, he has with him Whittleswale, while Brienne has Oathkeeper. Both were forged from Ned Stark's ice, and as such, the sword, in one way or another, returns home to Winterfell. You can also argue that ice is the family sword of the Starks that was used to defend their home, and as such, the two will use it in the same manner in this season. This is also the first time in the show that more than 3 Valyrian steel blades have been in one location: Oathkeeper, Whittleswale, Longclaw, and Heartsbane. During the night scene between Sam, Ed, and Jon, they reflect on their time at the Night's Watch and the friends they miss. They do this while on top of one of the walls of Winterfell, and though they aren't at Castle Black anymore, they still stare out into the wilderness in the cold, and ironically, still adhering to the purpose of the Night's Watch, to stand guard and be ready to fight against the White Walkers. You can also argue that everything north of Winterfell at this point has fallen, and that Winterfell is one of the last bastions that guards the realm of men. Even though the Night's Watch may no longer be a thing anymore, they are still fulfilling their vows to some extent, and yes, I also notice Ghost appears as well. In another scene, we get Arya and the Hound hanging around until Beric decides to drop by. The Hound asks if Beric was still on her list, to which she says, for a little while. So far, everyone who is still on Arya's list has appeared in Season 8, with the exception of one, Melisandre. In fact, this is the first time since her introduction in the series that she has not appeared by Episode 2. And for those of you wondering, Ilyn Payne, who was on her original list, was phased out of the show due to the actor's health. And on the topic of Arya, in this episode we see her and Gendry getting together. However, Arya's affection, and maybe even a bit of foreshadowing looking back at it now, goes back as far as Season 3. When Gendry is getting comfortable in the Brotherhood, he tells Arya that he's chosen to stay with them. She tells him that he could come join Robb's forces, to which he declines, and says he feels like he belongs there, and that the Brotherhood are like a family, to which Arya says,
I can be your family.
You wouldn't be my family. You'd be my lady.
And there may be some speculation as to if Arya will be pregnant with Gendry's child by the end of all of this, that this is the connection between them that will make them family in the end. And last we come to the merry band of Tyrion and company. There has been some memes and fan speculation on what Podrick did to those prostitutes back in Season 3 to make them want to refund Tyrion's money, and well, this is kind of answered, kind of. He sang to them. Though the thought behind this is that to claim Podrick as a sexual god is a bit too far-fetched, but that him treating all 3 girls to a good time beyond sexual pleasure could have made them just as happy, if not more. And on the topic of Podrick, let's talk about Jenny's song, which talks about Jenny of Oldstones. In the book, Jenny was the wife of Duncan Targaryen, son of Aegon V of his name. When Aegon learned his son married a commoner, he tried to have the marriage undone, which forces Duncan to give up his claim to the Iron Throne due to how much he loved her. Jenny had such an impact on Duncan that he gave up ruling the entire realm for her. This could be some foreshadowing for some people who would argue that this is what Dany or Jon plans on doing. More so Jon. And for those of you wondering, Duncan Targaryen was named after his father's best friend, Duncan the Tall, who, once again, was said to be related to Brienne in some way. And before we close this video, I want to give a big thank you to today's sponsor, PureVPN. Privacy online is a huge thing for me, and a VPN is a must. But there are so many of them out there, you really don't know which one to get. Well, PureVPN has got you covered with thousands of servers worldwide to help you overcome any restriction, 24/7 customer support, unlimited bandwidth, access to any website whenever you need it, and dedicated streaming servers, and many more features. And they even accept cryptocurrency if you truly want to stay anonymous. And for some of my foreign viewers, this is the service you should really consider getting. I've been overseas before, wanting to check up on my favorite shows and was blocked from doing so, and a VPN definitely helps with that. It's only $3 a month, but you can try it free for 30 days. Don't like it? Don't worry about it. Definitely check them out. I'll leave a link in the description below. But guys, that is it for now. Episode 2 didn't have that many callbacks or Easter eggs aside from the obvious ones, but just like in the previous video, many of you who are eagle-eyed saw some that I missed, so if there were any that I did that weren't as obvious, definitely let me know in the comments below, and as always, I'll see you all next time. Have a good one.